Welcome car lovers. For more than a century, the motor car has been a promise. A promise that if you chose wisely, if you bought the right badge, the right engine, the right philosophy, you would be rewarded not just with transport, but with dignity, with continuity, with something that aged alongside you, rather than being obsolete before the warranty expired. So here is the uncomfortable question we must ask today. When did the automobile stop being a legacy and start becoming a liability? What follows is not a list designed to shock. It is not a collection of cheap targets. These are cars from proud manufacturers, some with histories stretching back to the dawn of motoring itself. And yet by 2026, these 10 models are on course to be worth next to nothing. Not because they are ugly, not even because they are slow, but because somewhere between the boardroom and the showroom, the soul of the automobile was misplaced. We begin, at number 10, with the Toyota Mirai. Toyota, of course, is a company that built its reputation on endurance. Corollas that refused to die, Land Cruisers that outlasted governments. The Mirai was supposed to be Toyota's glimpse into the future, a hydrogen-powered saloon that would usher in a cleaner age without sacrificing refinement. On paper, it was an engineering marvel. On the road, it was quiet, smooth, and reassuringly well assembled. The proportions were elegant enough, the interior restrained and sensibly laid out. This was not a toy, it felt like a proper car. And yet, a car cannot exist in isolation from the world around it. Hydrogen stations are disappearing with alarming speed. Refueling costs can approach the price of a decent weekend holiday. Dealers, once eager, now hesitate to even accept these cars as trade. The Mirai drives well, rides comfortably at 70 miles per hour, and absorbs broken tarmac with composure. But none of that matters if you cannot reasonably keep it running. This is not the fault of the engineers. It is the failure of infrastructure. A noble idea, abandoned mid-sentence. At number 9, the Maserati Levante. There was a time when the Maserati Trident meant something ineffable. A whiff of Modena, a sense that passion mattered more than spreadsheets. The Levante arrived promising Italian flair in a market dominated by German discipline. From a distance, it had presence, long bonnet, assertive stance, proportions that suggested motion even at rest. Inside, however, the romance quickly faded. Materials that looked sumptuous proved disappointing to the touch. Switchgear borrowed from far humbler machinery undermined the illusion. On the move, the Levante could be engaging, even stirring when equipped with the larger engines. But reliability has been merciless, and Maserati itself has now drawn a line under the model's existence, with over 70% of its value already erased. This once proud SUV is now a cautionary tale. A car that wanted to be an heirloom, but was built like a lease special. Number 8 brings us to the Mercedes-Benz EQS SUV. Mercedes once understood luxury better than anyone. The old S-Class did not chase trends, it set standards. The EQS SUV, however, feels like a company trying to impress a focus group rather than satisfy a lifelong customer. The exterior is smooth, certainly, but the silhouette lacks gravitas. It has volume, but not authority. Inside, the screens dominate, to the detriment of usability. Functions once controlled by instinct are now buried in layers of digital indecision. At speed, the cabin is quiet and the ride is commendably soft, but there is a sense of detachment of distance between driver and machine. Massive oversupply and aggressive leasing have gutted its residuals. When a luxury car becomes commonplace overnight, exclusivity evaporates and with it value. At number 7, the Nissan Leaf. The Leaf deserves respect for being early. When it arrived, it was a symbol of progress, simple, honest, and unintimidating. It did not pretend to be sporty or luxurious. It was merely transport for a changing world. The trouble is, the world did change, and the Leaf did not change with it. It's air-cooled. Battery technology now feels antiquated. Degradation is a persistent concern. The exterior lacks distinction. The interior is functional, but uninspiring, and on the motorway, it feels strained rather than serene. Nissan has already signaled its intention to move on. When a manufacturer quietly closes the door behind a model, the used market hears the echo. Number 6 is the Volkswagen ID.4. Volkswagen once built cars defined by clarity. You knew where you stood with a Golf. The ID.4 promised that same logic for the electric era. The proportions are agreeable, the stance inoffensive, and the cabin space generous. Unfortunately, the experience is undermined by persistent software failures that sap confidence. Menus distract, controls frustrate. On the road, the suspension is competent but uninspiring. It neither cossets nor excites. Add to this the reality of heavy discounts on new examples, and the used market collapses under the weight of its own abundance. Trust once lost is not easily regained. Number 5. The Mercedes-Benz EQ. Smaller than the EQS but not necessarily more coherent, the EQE suffers from an identity crisis. The exterior lacks the elegance one expects from Stuttgart. The interior, while modern, feels curiously cheap in places plastics where leather once lived. The ride is comfortable enough and it cruises quietly, but it never quite settles into itself. The absence of meaningful tax incentives and a flood of lease returns have done the rest. Over half its value has already vanished. This is not depreciation. It is evaporation. At number 4, the Lucid Air. Here we encounter ambition on a grand scale. The Lucid Air arrived with extraordinary claims, range, power, innovation, and to be fair, much of it delivered. The car is fast, refined, and impressively engineered. The proportions are sleek, the cabin airy, the ride composed even at high speed. But cars are not judged on spreadsheets alone. The specter of financial instability looms large. Buyers worry, reasonably, about parts support and longevity. When a car loses tens of thousands in a single year, confidence collapses. No matter how impressive the engineering, uncertainty is a poison. Number 3 is the Nissan Ariya. The Ariya was meant to reset Nissan's electric ambitions. It looks modern enough, with a tidy silhouette and restrained detailing inside. The layout is clean, though perhaps too reliant on touch-sensitive controls. On the road, it is calm, predictable, and inoffensive. Yet Nissan has already announced its withdrawal from the US market. This makes the Ariya an orphan almost overnight. History tells us what happens next. Values fall, support dwindles, and owners are left holding the memory of a promise that was never fully kept. At number 2, the Audi e-tron SUV. Audi once excelled at quiet competence. The original e-tron, however, arrived with limitations that could not be ignored. Real-world range, especially in winter, is disappointing. The exterior, though handsome, was quickly overshadowed by the superior Q8 e-tron. Inside, the screens again dominate while physical controls retreat. On the motorway, it is stable and refined, but range anxiety lurks constantly in the background. Obsolescence arrived swiftly, and with it plummeting values. And finally, at number 1, the Polestar 2. There is nothing inherently wrong with the Polestar 2. It is solid, well proportioned, and competently assembled. The interior is minimal, perhaps too much so for those who appreciate warmth and familiarity. The drive is firm but controlled, the cabin reasonably quiet. Its downfall is not engineering. It is economics. Rental fleets released thousands into the used market at once, flooding supply and crushing prices. When a car becomes a commodity rather than a companion, sentiment disappears, value follows. So what have we learned? That progress is not the enemy, that electric power is not inherently flawed. The problem lies in haste. In forgetting that a motor car must earn trust over decades, not impress for a season. The great cars, the ones worth remembering, were not disposable. They were built to endure. And until manufacturers remember that, many more of today's machines will quietly slip into worthlessness long before their time.